All right, I want to thank everybody for coming to Mr. Bujo's tutorials. As you can see, we're going to continue on with converting our equations. Remember in the last video, I told you guys that it was standard form, point slope, that all can be converted into slope intercept. This one here is in point slope form. All right, if you're not familiar with that equation, I'll write it down for you guys just so you can see what point slope looks like. All right, this is a fairly simple equation because of what it gives you. Okay, it literally gives you a point, x and y. There are your points, okay, from the graph, and the slope. So if you know the slope, okay, you can move from point to point on the graph. And so it works, but however, you can't put that in the calculator. And that's where we run into an issue. We're not able to go solve systems. We're not able to find a solution. We're not able to find the table because it's not in y equals. So more problems arise. However, graphing, it's okay. However, there are problems that will arise later on throughout the year. So it's good to always know, hey, I can turn anything into y equals. And that's what we're going to do. We're simply just going to ask ourselves the same question. I need to get y all by itself. Okay. Now, if you remember in the last video, we were always saying what's keeping y from being by itself. Well, in this video, we have to kind of simplify what we already have. And if you notice, we have parentheses here. In PEMDAS, parentheses always comes first. So the first thing I'm going to do is distribute this half to the x. So I'm not going to touch this. Okay. And the distributive property tells me anything on the outside goes to everything on the inside. So that's a negative 1/2 x now. And a negative half times 4 should be negative 2. Okay, half of 4 is 2. Because it's negative, my sign turns negative. Now I can say, let's simplify some further. I see negative 8, so I'm going to add 8, and then I get y is equal negative 1/2 x. Negative 2 plus 6, I'm sorry, plus 8 is a positive 6. I do that quite often. I'm moving too fast. Okay, but there you go. You see it in y equals mx plus b form. All right, let's try another one. Okay, here we have one here. Okay, and it doesn't look too pretty, but let's go ahead and try to work it out. First thing we're going to always do. All right, we have to do distributive property first. I have to distribute what's on the outside of my parentheses to everything that's on the inside. So that means I'm not going to touch this. 2 times x is 2x. 2 times 5 is 10. Now I have a positive 9 here, so I need to subtract 9. What you do on one side, you do to the other. And I'm left with y is equal to 2x plus 1. Very simple equation. And slope-intercept form. How about you try this one? Okay, and then we'll check it once you're done. So go ahead, pause the video. Let's see what you get. All right, welcome back. By now you should have, of course, drawn your line down the middle. Okay, nothing you can do over here, so just rewrite it. All right. Now 2/3 times x, of course, is going to give us 2/3 x. Now 2/3 times 3 is a very interesting problem. It has a fraction. What I noticed, or a trick that I learned, is that whenever you multiply a fraction by the denominator, you're left with the numerator. So that means I'm going to be left with plus 2. All right. And if you want to see that out, why that works, I'll just come over here and do that real quick. If I were to take a fraction and just say, how about 2/3 times 3? And we all know that 3 is 3/1. Well, 2 times 3 is 6. 3 times 1 is 3. And look, that equals 2. You're always left with the numerator. Okay, we can try it again with 3/7. I'm going to multiply by the denominator, 7/1. And that becomes 21/7, which is equal to 3. Always left. Anytime you multiply a fraction by the denominator, you're always left with the numerator. So it's just a little trick you can remember if ever you want to get rid of your fractions and keep it simple. Now we can come back to the problem. And we left off with here where it's -1. So I need to add 1, and I'm left with y is equal to 2/3 x plus 3. There you go. All right, there's one more in here that I'll leave for you guys to try. And it's back on the front of the page here with all of the examples we did earlier. So let's see if we can pause our video. All right, and come back and get a right answer. All right, very good. So by now you should have already drawn down your line and rewrote y minus 4. You're always going to rewrite that because there's nothing you do with that. All right, the first thing you want to do is the distributive property. So -3 times x is -3x. And -3 times -3 is a +9. Okay, now it's time for me to add 4 on both sides. Add 4, add 4. And I'm left with y equals, that's my golden goose, -3x, 9 plus 4, 13. And there's your equation, y equals mx plus b. So I hope these videos help. So rewriting equations into slope-intercept form is a great skill to have, a great skill to need in your algebra class. If you have any questions, comments, please leave them in the chat and I will get back to them down there in that section. Also, like the video, check out my website, midtermmightyminds.com. I hope that can provide you with even more information in the future. Thank you so much.